Okay, welcome back to the Black Carnivore podcast, and I am really excited to bring yet another member of the Black Carnivore community, Carla. She has had just amazing success, and I really can't wait to share her story with all of you. And I just really love it when you are able to see yourself in another person who's having success on this program so that that this isn't something that just works for other random special lucky people, but this works for everyday regular people who have tried everything else and are really looking for a program that is sustainable in the long run, is healing, and allows you to lose weight and be comfortable. So without further ado, let's hear from Carla. Carla, take it away.
Yeah.
Tell us a little about yourself.
Okay. Well, first of all, I am 62 years old. I'm a special education teacher in suburb of Detroit, Michigan. I work in Redford, Michigan, which is um, right around the corner from Detroit. You know, within the uh, right outside the city limits. I have dieted all of my life. I have, but I have not been able to sustain it. There isn't a program that I haven't tried. I even have had the gastric sleeve and bariatric surgery, but as the doctor explained to me, that was just a tool. With the gastric sleeve, though, I did experience, although they say it's not common for you to experience problems with absorption, but I did have difficulty experiencing absorption issues. And so I became very iron deficient. My iron was down to 7.2. I in 2018, and I received weekly iron infusions, but it never got my iron up past 9, which was still considered low. Your iron levels are supposed to be between 12 and 15. Women usually tend to be on the lower side because of menstruation, but since I'm not menstruating, then it was no reason for me to have low iron. Um, so, one of the appealing things to me with the carnivore diet was that it would allow me to eat more iron rich meat, and hopefully, I would be able to bring my iron levels up. And that was a big attraction for me because with the iron deficiency, not only was I tired all the time and I had no energy for just daily functioning, I was also, easily winded, out of breath. Um, when working a full time job, that's not ideal. I also was I had lost about 6 inches of hair, which was a large amount of hair to lose. Um, over the over like a 2 year period, I lost a lot of hair. My skin was very dry. Um, so those were some of the symptoms I was finding myself with. Also, not only that, I was a diabetic. Um, they had, it's been pre-diabetes for years, but now it had gone over that I was no longer pre-diabetic. Or as my husband would say, that's like saying you're a little pregnant. But I was I had gotten up to 6.8 um, with my A1C.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. So your A1C was actually pretty high. I mean, I guess I thought that the gastric bypass surgery was supposed to help bring down people's A1C, but that didn't seem to happen for you.
Well, the thing is that as my doctor explained to me when he did the surgery, that the surgery is only a tool. And so, and it's up to you to utilize your tool. Now, what the surgery did for me is that it it cut down the amount of food that I could actually eat. So while I was never a big volume eater. So I never ate large amounts of food. It was more or less the types of food that I ate. And with the surgery, there's a thing called slider foods, and those are foods that are able to slide through very efficiently. And those are the types of foods that I would enjoy. Your carb rich, things, your salty, crunchy kinds of things. Those were the things that I found myself indulging in. And so while I did lose, I I think the highest I was like 214. I did lose weight, but the highest I think at one point my A1C was like 7.4 before the surgery back in 2010. It did go down to 6.0, 6.2, and at that time that was considered pre-diabetic. Um, it was anything over 6.5 was considered diabetic. Now they've changed it, so now anything 5.7 and over is now considered diabetic, but that's just been a recent change. So yeah, it did initially lower it, and when I was more effectively following the diet, but I had the surgery in 2011. So as time went on, I dipped back into eating things that I was not supposed to eat. Mhm.
So what were they telling you? I mean, if they're telling you that the surgery is a tool, what were they telling you? How were they telling you to eat? Like what was
No cookies, cakes, candies, no peanuts, no chips, no crackers, no no cakes, cookies, pies. Um, basically, a lower carbohydrate and low glycemic diet, low glycemic fruit diet. Mhm.
so that was, sort of progressive. I
Right.
mean,
Yes.
yeah, because I
Yes.
remember my mom got the lap band, and I want to say, maybe it was as late as like 2007 or 8, maybe.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, I was kind of against it, but she really wanted to go forward with it,
Right.
and it ended up, it was not really helpful, I think. But I do remember, like, they didn't give a lot of advice about like what to eat and how to eat. There was no discussion of slider foods. Like, I think she must have done this sort of in the early years, and they didn't. There was no discussion of that, and I'm like, she lived on jelly beans and like, crackers and
Yeah.
potato chips. These are precisely the things that just run right through you.
Yeah. And
So,
yeah, I didn't, we had a nutritionist. There is a nutritionist. Um, the nutritionist will give you a diet. Um, but the diet is good for people who are volume eaters or who are not highly insulin resistant. Um, I personally, I'm highly insulin resistant. So it's insulin resistant. So just a little bit of carbohydrates will make my blood sugar go up. So I don't know if it's because of the number of diets I've been on. I don't know if it's because of family history with diabetes or, but that is kind of, I don't tolerate carbohydrates very well. So and I found that if I don't eat them, I don't crave them. And whereas when people say portion control, for me, once you have that small amount, it's going to cause my blood sugar to increase. And then that's going to cause me to crave. It starts a vicious cycle, and I begin to crave more and more and more.
So after you had the surgery and
Mhm.
you started to lose some weight, like
Right.
what got you looking or well, how did you come to discover carnivore and why did you feel like you needed something beyond what you were already doing with the surgery?
Well, as I said, I after I had the surgery, the lowest my weight ever got down to was 173 pounds. Um, After the surgery. Then I got onto another program where I was able to cut out all flour and sugar. And when I cut out all flour and sugar, and I had a very specific diet plan, I got down to 144, which was the goal weight that they had wanted me to get down for the surgery. And that was eating no flour and no sugar. And I would eat low glycemic fruit. Um, they would allow you to eat like a cup of oatmeal, but that cup of oatmeal would make my blood sugar increase too much, so I couldn't have the oatmeal. Um, I stayed on that for a number of years, was successful with that, but then I developed an ulcer. And the only thing that would sort of coat my stomach at the time was the flour. And so I would eat, the starch, the crackers to coat that. And then, of course, the craving came back and the vicious cycle of trying to, put it up and put it away. And then somehow, and then the weight came back on. And I had gotten up to 204 pounds. And I went to the doctor, and that's when I found out I was anemic. And she was like, well, I'm more concerned about getting your blood up than I am right now about you losing weight. She said it's going to be a vicious cycle. You don't have the energy to exercise, and I don't know of a way for you to get your, hemoglobin up without giving you these injections. And if it gets lower than 7, we're going to have to give you a blood transfusion. So fortunately, it never got lower than 7, but it didn't get up to where I needed it to get to be fully functional. Um, I had heard of the carnivore diet or the paleo diet, actually. And I never, and I would look at it and I would try, but the cravings were just so strong that I couldn't last past a day without breaking and getting something that I needed to eat. And then I,
Well, can I just jump in? So
Mhm.
about um the ulcer that you had in the beginning that started
Right.
this all,
Mhm.
I mean, did you get that treated or
Yep, I got the bleeding ulcer
okay.
treated. I took medication. And then after I would take the medication, I would still have the reflux or whatever. And the only thing that would kind of calm that acid was the starch because it would soak it up. And I had to figure out a way to find something that would allow me to soak up that starch, to soak up that acid that wasn't going to um, there wasn't starch because that was defeating the purpose. It was a vicious cycle. So I found the carnivore diet, and I listened and I tried it and I couldn't do it. And then you had the carnivore challenge. And you had a small group you were piloting to work out to help us start. And that's how I started on the carnivore diet March 14th, I believe it was. And I was 204 pounds when I started.
Yeah, so wow. I mean, I was so honored to have an opportunity working with you from the beginning and like, kind of help you through. And I'm
Yep.
so glad that you decided to try it. So I
Yep.
remember at the time you told me that you were a sugar addict and that you just could not put the sugar down. So tell me a little bit about like what it was like before, and then how you made this transition into a ketogenic and low carb and carnivore lifestyle.
It's truly an addiction. It was horrible. It was, I couldn't, I would get up in the morning and I would say, I'm not going to have it today. I'm not going to have any sugar today. I'm not going to have any starch. I'm not going to have that bagel. I'm not going to have that cracker. I'm not going to have those pretzels. And I would say that in my mind in the beginning of the morning. And then by the end of the day, I was pulling into a place where I could pick up the pretzels that I said I wasn't going to have, the bag of chips that I said I wasn't going to have. Um, it was, like I said, I wasn't as much of a candy person or a cake person, but it was the bread. It was the pretzels. It was the hard crunch, the chips. That's what it was. And I couldn't, even though I knew it was bad, even though I knew I couldn't, shouldn't eat it, and I would say I wasn't going to, I just couldn't do it. And I knew that if I could get a whole day in without having that, I would be successful. But I was unable to get through that entire day. So then you came in and you said, well, we're going to try this and we're going to, eat the meat. Now, the problem with me and eating meat was because of the reflux I had had. I never ate like large pieces or thick pieces of meat because I like slider foods. I was a lazy eater. I like food you didn't have to chew a lot. And so with beef, it would just seem like it would just lay on my stomach, and I couldn't get it down. And a hamburger, the best part of the hamburger for me was the bun and the bread, the bun and the condiments and the cheese. That's what I liked. I wasn't into the actual meat part. So and the first day, after the first day on carnivore, and I wasn't hungry. And I was like, oh, this is great. I'm not even hungry. And you would say, you're not eating enough. You have to eat more. And I was like, but no, you don't understand. To not have the need to eat is a wonderful thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I totally appreciate, and I'm so glad now that I'm hearing, all more of your backstory, that you had that opportunity to see what that feels like. Because I
Mm-hmm.
think for many of us, I mean, not since we were like small children have we eaten to full, complete satiation, and
Right.
so for many of us, like this is the first time we've like actually been full and
Yeah.
like just done. And
Right.
it's an amazing experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I don't have to have like yesterday was Thanksgiving. We went out for dinner for Thanksgiving, and we went to one of my favorite restaurants. We went to Morton's, and Morton's
Oh,
had,
nice.
yeah,
Nice.
and Morton's has the reason I loved Morton's was because they would present you with this big loaf of freshly cooked onion bread, and that was my favorite. That's all. That's the only reason I went to the restaurant, was for the bread. And to be able to sit at the table and watch them cut that bread and not even have to have any was a wonderful thing. Because I would have been through that first loaf and asked for a second. And they give you a nice big loaf of bread.
Wow, that's amazing. So, leading up to the holidays, I'd been asking people whether they were, what their holiday plan was going to be, and if they were going to stay carnivore, if they were going to do keto, or if they were just going to eat whatever and then go get right back on program. So, what did you do?
I stayed on carnivore. I had a 16-ounce ribeye Cajun steak. And
Excellent.
I ate about 8 ounces of it, and I brought the other 8 home so I can have today for dinner.
Excellent.
Hmm.
And do you eat to appetite, or do you pay attention to how much you have, or what?
I eat to appetite, but I don't, here again, because of the modifications of my stomach, I don't eat large volumes of food.
That's right. And so that's true for, I mean, there's quite a few people in our community who have had some kind of bariatric surgery. And
Mhm.
so, there are many people who, for these reasons are unable to eat large amounts of food.
Mhm.
And truth be told, I haven't been a fan of, people sitting down and eating a 2 pound ribeye,
Right.
once a day. but
No.
um but some people, people do like to do that. So if that's you and that's working for you, it's fine. But if it's not working for you, it is okay to eat more meals. I mean, it is okay to eat, 3 meals a day if you need
Right.
to, and just keep them small.
Mhm.
So it's important to make sure, of course, that you get enough food, but it doesn't all have to happen at once.
No.
Okay. So you eat to appetite, and so now what does your health look like when you go to the doctor? Like, do you have any more deficiencies, or is everything like up to snuff?
Well, the last time I went, my which was in September, I had a lot of labs run. Um, I went back to the bariatric uh, surgeon because I hadn't been in a year, and when I made the appointment, um, it took me about 6 months to get in. So I'm now, and I wanted to know what my blood looked like. So I went there and they ran a lot of tests, and my hemoglobin was up to 12.4, which it had not been in I don't know how many years, at least since 2018. Um, my A1C was down to 5.7. Um, my all my labs were good. Prior to going in, the doctor came in and she asked me, you know, what I was doing. And, I told her I had changed, what my diet was. And I told her about my diet. And of course, she was like, but you're not eating any fruits and vegetables. I said, but I don't need any fruits and vegetables. She says, well, but you're not having any, and you need the fruit, and you need this, and you need. And so I said, well, no, I really don't. I feel good. I have energy. My mood is good. I feel great. And she was like, well, I would feel better. And so she gave me the standard, diet of what I was supposed to have, and what my plate should look like, and how I should have the greens, and how much protein. Are you getting enough protein? I said, yes, I'm getting more than enough protein. Well, how do you know? Because that's all I eat. And so she so, of course, now that the labs have come in and all my labs are fine, um, she says, I guess you are getting enough protein.
Okay. What about your cholesterol? Did they give you a hard time about that, or is
Yes,
it
my
normal?
cholesterol is of course, elevated. and they wanted to,
The LDL cholesterol specifically.
right, right. But my triglycerides had gone down to like 100, which was excellent, right? And but they wanted to give me a hard time about my LDL.
Yeah, and then it's like, but look how much better I'm doing. Like
Right.
everything's gone in the right direction. And they're like,
Yeah.
well, I don't know. The book says I'm supposed to give you a
Right.
hard time
Right.
because of this
Yeah.
number.
hmm
Okay. Well, I am very impressed. So good job. And I'm glad that you stood your ground. You didn't let them deter you.
No.
Um, but so actually I wanted to know, so how is the stomach ulcer and like the acid reflux? Like how did that part get resolved?
The acid reflux is doing much better. When I first started the diet, I had to take the supplements. Um,
Wait, was that the HCl tablets
yep,
or
the
okay, yeah,
HCL. I,
right.
I I took that, and I got better with that. You know, um, so I don't have those problems anymore, which is good. Um, I also um, yeah, I was able to wean off of those, so I don't have to have those. Um,
Well, so but before that though, so the so you had the ulcer for some time, and then were you taking like Prilosec or
and
Tums or
Nexium,
anything?
Nexium. I was
Nexium.
taking
Okay.
Nexium, and then I was living off of Gaviscon. Was
Right.
I was
Right.
taking Gaviscon. I don't.
Right.
I very rarely take that anymore, if at all. Um,
Right.
yeah.
So it's interesting that so those medications actually make your stomach less acidic, and I guess the point is so that the acid coming up isn't as acidic and burning your
Right.
esophagus. But as a consequence, for those of us who start eating more meat, like that becomes a problem because
Yeah.
you need the acid to actually
Digestive.
digest the meat. So
So it's a vicious circle.
right, right. So for those of you who are watching and who maybe are unfamiliar with this is a common thing for people who are just getting started on the carnivore diet, is that they don't have enough stomach acid or the stomach acid is not acidic enough to properly digest the meat. And so, there's a couple of ways to handle that. One, I have a video about it called Common Problems, Common Solutions, and there I go over like the specific things that you can do. But one, you can just wait, and basically it just takes time, and your body will pick up, and it'll start making enough. But two, you can also buy HCl tablets, which is hydrochloric acid, and it's basically the acid that's in your stomach, and so it helps to increase the acidity. But I'm interested in hearing from you, like in that interim period where you might still have had the acid reflux and you're trying to get your stomach acid more acidic, like what did that feel like? Or did the heartburn kind of stop almost immediately upon starting the carnivore diet?
Once I got all of those carbohydrates out of my system, it ended. So the main thing was to get, the carbohydrates out of my body.
Yeah, that's interesting that they don't really teach us that, but that like it's really the sugar that
Right.
starts the heartburn, not
Right.
anything else. And so when
No.
you take out all the sugar, it's like boom, it's just done. It's
Yeah.
over.
hmm Just
Yeah.
like the cravings are gone, so is the reflux.
So that's really awesome, and I'm really glad that you were able to fix that. So now there's no more Gaviscon, no more any more of those pills, no more Prilosec. All of that is gone, and you are feeling great, and you're able to digest the meat. How long were you taking the HCL tablets? How long did that take?
About 2 weeks.
Oh, that was really quick.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's not long at all. Okay, excellent. And so now I wanted to go back to like the sugar cravings. And I think a lot more of us are undiagnosed or sugar addicts, and we just it's like not a concept that's been presented to us. I don't know if you've had a chance to watch the interview that I did with Bitten Johnson a few weeks back, or you've heard me talk about it. Like, do you consider yourself to be a sugar addict? And what was that like coming off of the sugar?
Yes, I am a sugar addict. And I coming off of it, the withdrawal is horrible. You get bad headaches. You feel nauseous. Um, you know, again, it's like that nausea, that you have to take something to kind of coat that stomach, but you can't go to your old go to coat it, because that's what puts you right back in. It's a cycle. And so but and I know, because I've done it so many times, that once I get over the hump, I'll be good. But it's just going through that withdrawal, knowing that you're going to have that bad headache, knowing that you're going to and getting over it. You promise yourself, oh, once I get through this, I'll never do this again, because I don't want to have to be in like this again. And so it's a process. But the only thing is the only you have to do like cold turkey. That's the only way to really do it, because I mean, gradually you're just feeding the beast.
Some people like to, they want to slowly taper down on the carbs and feel like, it's too much, or it's too much of a shock to the body to cut it
Right.
all out at once. What did you think about that, or did you feel that?
I don't I know as a person who's done it so many times, that you have for me, the more, because I'm an addict, if I do a little bit of it, I'm just going to want more and more and more. So, um, and I use the parallel of it, like of the fact that I used to smoke. I was a smoker. And in order to quit, I knew I had to quit cold turkey. I couldn't just say, oh, I'm just going to have 5 today, and then I'm going to have 3 today, because a bad situation might happen on the day that I'm supposed to have 3. And that's going to make me want to have 4 more. And so I had to say, no, I can't have it. And then all my family and friends and doctors and people that I work with who say, well, you can have a piece of fruit every now and then, or when I tell them about my new way of life, or you can have a piece of cake every now and then. I'm like, you wouldn't tell me I could have a cigarette every now and then and it would be okay. Because no, smoking is now forbidden. So if it's okay for me not to have a cigarette every now and then, why is it okay for me, a sugar addict, okay to have a piece of cake now and then? but I guess cake is more socially acceptable than, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I did have it was sort of interesting. I didn't expect to get any kind of, pushback on on the episode that I did with the woman where we were talking about sugar addiction, and
Right.
someone did say, I mean, like, you don't see the same kind of withdrawals with sugar, so why would you say that sugar is addictive? And I
But
was
you
kind of
do.
like, you
You
do,
do.
like, what are you talking about?
You do. But you may not be aware of that this is what's going through. But if you totally take it out, you're going to definitely have, some not only physical signs, but psychological signs as well.
Absolutely. So tell us what you felt like you were experiencing, and and about how long did it last?
Um, I was tired. I was lethargic. I had a horrendous headache. I for 2 days. I was irritable and I was anxious. Hmm.
So that sounds a lot like keto flu.
Hmm.
I mean, I think that, when people first transition into a ketogenic diet, like, some of it is, the electrolytes and not
Right.
getting that in place. But,
Mhm.
some of it is this carb withdrawal. And that,
Right.
that's a real thing. That is
It
absolutely a
is.
real thing.
Hmm.
And also because sugar is, like, socially acceptable and it's not illegal, you don't have all the legal problems that come from, like, trying to score, some crack.
Right.
Like,
Right.
you don't have to worry about all that stuff. But I assure you, if sugar were illegal, there would be a lot of people out there like M&Ms. Come on, you holding, please.
But my friends who are addicts and who have acknowledged and that they are sugar, addicts, food addicts, they talk about going up in the room, hiding their food, eating in private, not wanting people to see them, the shame of it, that they don't have control over their that people want to make them feel bad because you can't control this monster that you have.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're talking about people who have experienced drug addiction also have these um issues around control with food. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying food addicts.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah, I gotcha.
I have friends who are, legitimately consider themselves food addicts, and they talk about the shame and the um, hiding and becoming reclusive because they don't want people to know their lack of control.
Exactly, yeah. So how long do you feel like it took you to get through those symptoms and, like, come out on the other side and start to feel good, like that first time that uh well, when you went and tried the carnivore diet with me, was that like the first time you had been in ketosis before, or?
No, I've been in ketosis many times before. I've been on, various diets where, we would limit the carbohydrates to like 20 grams a day. But this was the first time that I had eliminated all vegetables. Normally,
So
mhm,
when doing that, that allowed you a level of freedom that you didn't get with those other ketogenic diets, is that
right.
right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. And so how long did it take before you started to really feel good and not, suffering those withdrawals, would you say?
Like 72 hours.
Oh, okay. So that's not horrible.
No, no, it was
Okay.
relatively quick. It was relatively quick. And then, you had really good suggestions. I bought the Redmond salt, so I had that. I had the grass-fed butter that, I could add to my steak or my fish. Um, so those were all very helpful.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, I mean, you definitely seem to have a level of peace. And after the first week or so, that's the first time that I usually see people's eyes get brighter, their skin
Hmm.
gets brighter. There's just a level of energy and awakeness that, wasn't
Hmm.
there before. So I definitely saw that with you, pretty early on. And you seem to have a level of peace with
Yeah.
food that you just didn't seem to have before.
Mm-mm. No, not at all.
Yeah, wonderful. So how are you now? Like, are you far from your goal? Do you want to say how much weight lost? What have
I've
you
lost
noticed?
I've lost 34 pounds. And I want to lose another 30. And so I'm at 170 now. I'd like to lose another 30 to get to about 140.
And this time, do you feel like you're the same size as you were the last time you were this weight? Because
Um,
you know how like inches are different. Or let's say the carnivore diet makes you lose so many inches that very
right.
often you might weigh more than you look. So do you notice that for yourself?
Yeah, I started working out too. And so I think that I probably am losing the inches. I have a trainer, and she takes my measurements and once a month, and she takes pictures, which I don't look at, but she. So I just started with her. We started like October 12th, and we worked out. So she took them October. Then November 1st, she took some. And so I lost quite a few inches then. And then I'm really interested to see what the inches look like in December. Hmm.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if you look smaller now at this
Right.
weight than you did the last time you were 170, because yeah, carnivore really does reshape the body in
Hmm.
a way that you just don't see otherwise.
Right.
So that's fantastic. Well, I'm so glad that someone is forcing you to take these pictures,
Yeah.
because I cannot stress enough how important pictures are in helping you to see your progress. And I think that, it's invaluable. And you're only going to regret not having before pictures, once
I know.
you
I know.
get close
I
to your
know.
after.
I know. But for people who have body dysmorphic issues, it's hard to take pictures.
Well, and that's why, what I do now is, I have my clients take the pictures, and then I will put them side by side, and with my
Right.
Apple Pencil, like, draw on it and point
Yeah.
to the specific spots that I see are changing. And I
Right.
think that, yeah, I mean, because, it can be hard to look at your own body and blah, blah,
Yep.
blah. But, if you once you get past that, like, there's real data in photos that you just won't get from the scale. So yeah, or even looking in the mirror, you're not going to remember what you looked like, a week ago.
That's
Yeah.
true. That is true.
Well, I'm glad that you're doing that. And so how is the exercise? Do you feel, energized and into it now?
Well, I work out 3 times a week with her. We do um, full body workouts with the weights. It requires a lot of energy. She, of course, tries to tell me about, how I need leafy green vegetables, and we go through, that. But I, hold fast that no, my way of eating is far superior than any, leafy greens would have me. And I don't crave on my way of eating. And when I started adding those other things in, cravings would surely follow. So I hold fast with that. I do have a lot more energy than I did before when I first started. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate my the endurance that I'm beginning to gain. Hmm.
Wow. So it seems like carnivore really has been life changing for
It
you. And
has. It really has. And I
yeah,
truly recommend it for anybody who's out there who's struggling with cravings, who's struggling with trying to stay on a program, to, give it a try, because it's been amazing for me. Just the ability not to crave.
yeah. And I think, a lot of people or people who are not sugar addicts just don't really understand what that means. But for those of us who are, who really know how, um, controlled you feel by candy and processed foods, whatever. It is truly a freeing thing to be able to come out from underneath that.
Yeah. Yeah, because you can't move forward if you can't. I mean, you can eat all the food, and you can have your diet all set, and you know what to eat and everything. And but once you have that craving, you'll forgo all of everything you've planned once you eat that one piece of sugar.
Yeah, exactly. And so it sounds like you have made peace with this way of eating and you would be fine doing this the rest of your life. Like you
Yes.
made it easily through Thanksgiving.
Yep.
I have no concerns about you going through Christmas. Like
No,
this is it for you.
this is it. This is it, and I'm happy with it. And I don't want to go the other way, because I know what's there for me if I go the other way. I've been there, done that. I don't want to try it again.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. Once you've been through hell, once you're out, like
right?
why
You
go
don't want to
back?
go back. I don't
Yeah.
need to. I don't need a revision of my surgery. I don't need any of those. Whatever. The exercise is good for cardiovascular support, but and it may be good for tightening things up. But it the eating is key to me, and if I can keep eating this way, I think I'll be happy, and I'm satisfied.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I'm really glad to hear this. It really makes me happy to see how well you're doing and how, your life is opened up. So what are all the things that you can do now that you couldn't do before because you were consumed with the food and with your health?
I can exercise. I can. I had a pair of pants that I had bought 3 years ago that still had the tags on that I couldn't wear. I was able to wear them comfortably. Um, I not tired in the middle of the day at 3 o'clock. I'm not driving unconsciously to the corner store to pick up whatever my craving leads me to pick up for the day. Um, I work around in education, we work around kids, and kids are always having birthday parties, and they're always having treats, and and I'm able to go to my staff meetings and um, be around cookies, cakes, pies, candies, breakfast with, their fruit bowls and all of that, and I don't feel the need to indulge. I'm able to provide treats for other people without feeling the need to indulge in them.
Man, that just seems awesome. So I hope for everybody who's listening, imagine a world where, you have no cravings and you can
Right.
be around all this stuff and, and it's okay.
And you can
So it
provide
is
it to
possible.
others. You can provide it to others. A friend of mine, she made a beautiful German chocolate cake to give to me for Thanksgiving. So it's at the house. My husband can eat it. My daughters can eat it. And I have no desire. As a matter of fact, I just gave half of the cake away.
Wow, that is fantastic. I am really glad to hear that.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so you are just an inspiration. So for for everyone watching, like this is what, the ideal of what can happen on a carnivore diet, the healing that can happen and so on. And especially if you work with me. You should work with me.
Yes, you should definitely work with Ada. She's very encouraging, very supportive. She got me through with no cravings.
Yes, absolutely. It can absolutely happen. And what would you say for someone who's getting started now? What's the first thing they should do?
They should contact you. That's the first thing they should do.
I love it. That's exactly right. Exactly
They should
right.
contact you and listen to your podcast. I also recommend the 21-day challenge. That's a good way to start. You're very supportive. Notice you said you were going to do one in December. So
Yeah,
I'm,
I just
I'm
posted the info today. So, and if well, I'm not sure when this video is going to come out, but whenever it comes out, if you miss December, look for January or
yeah,
February.
I'm looking forward to the December one. I'm going to join that one as well.
Awesome. That's fantastic. I'm really
Yeah.
excited. Well, yeah, I posted the info today so you can join up.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap this up, but this was a wonderful conversation. I really appreciated Carla being so honest about, her experience, and I hope that this information is, helpful to you. So if you're on the fence or if you're thinking about, whether you want to try carnivore for a little while, do it. Do it. You have no idea how awesome it's going to be. And yeah, and I hope you enjoyed this interview, and I will see you all next week.
Bye.